Welcome back on the AM show. Time now for us to get into the newspapers. Right before we do that, this segment, as always, brought to you courtesy of Endpoint Homeopathic Clinic. They're offering you free prostate screening, free fertility screening if you're a woman. And here's where you can locate Endpoint Homeopathic Clinic. Spintex opposite the Shell signboard here in Accra. Then there's also Kumasi Krodomabwe here behind the Angel Educational Complex. There's Takrady Anaji State Tema Community 22, Techiman Hanso and Esiama and Zema. Their call lines 0244 867 068 or 0274 234 321. Endpoint Homeopathic Clinic. The end to chronic disease. But just the start of the news review, I have some very special guests I'm going to be introducing to you this morning, starting with Dr. Kwame Asah-Asante via Zoom. He's a political scientist. He is director of the Center for European Studies at the University of Ghana. Doc, good morning.
Good morning, Ben. Good to see you.
It's Wednesday, and you make my Wednesdays. Thank you for joining. Also joining the news review this morning, we have, and he is a United Nations eminent peace ambassador to Ghana and country director, International Association of World Peace Advocates, Ghana chapter, in the person of Dr. Samuel Ben Owusu. I nearly did a reshuffling of your name. Dr. Samuel Ben Owusu. Good morning. Thank you for joining us.
Good morning. Thank you so much for having me this morning.
Okay, so right before we get into the review, I'm a bit curious. For me and for all of those who are watching us this morning, the millions watching us this morning.
Yeah.
What do you do as an eminent peace ambassador to Ghana and this country?
To advocate for peace and promote peace within our region here, to mobilize people, to speak for the United Nations on the area of peace and how we can develop through the system of peace, because no nation develops without peace. And
Definitely.
The more we talk about it, the more we accept it, and the more we have the value of peace and things like that. Because in our system and our country here, we don't really understand security, safety, and peace within the body system of development, and it's a problem. It's a problem. It's a big problem. We always wait for something to happen before we start talking about. We all need to come into the place of peace and things like that. I think that my job is to make sure that every individual, every institution, every organization add into their system of operation and administration how we can maintain, sustain, and build the peace that we have, especially within our region here in Africa and Ghana.
Okay, very quick one to just add and just address this for me.
Right.
The Global Peace Index. Our country has been falling.
Right.
There's been a sharp fall.
Yes.
In fact, the latest one I read, some of the countries that have overtaken us actually shocked me.
Yeah.
But they point to some things that are happening.
Yeah.
And then you have the coup d'etats in the sub-region.
Yeah.
What's your view on that? Very, very briefly.
Yes. Africa, the more the world is growing up in the area of peace and development and things like that, I look as if we are not coming into that, to the extent that at this technology age, we are still having, people dying for elections and things like that, coups and all those things, because of lack of development. We are not putting a systematic developmental plan whereby everybody will follow. We are still in the olden system, olden days, where everybody is looking for power and we don't care about the life. We forgot that every life counts and everybody is important in nation development and things like that. So I think that the wake-up call is now. We need to talk about it so much to the extent that nobody deserves to die, nobody deserves to be destroyed because somebody want power, somebody want authority and things like that. That have been the biggest issue we have in our this, and the problem is we don't have a system of development. Development plan is not our project. Like, for instance, look at what is happening in our political kind of system, where the political party is bringing their agenda, bringing their manifesto. This is not helping Africa. We need to go back into a system of national development system where we can have it being established, so that when you come, you continue. I come, I continue.
All right.
Yeah.
Let's quickly get into this. Doc, I also know that Usually when you join the conversation, you have a few thoughts. If in a minute you have any thoughts. I mean, the Electoral Commission as well, and its limited registration exercise is ongoing. Do you have any thoughts on that? It's not in today's papers as far as I see, but I want your quick thoughts on that.
Yes, I have watched from a distance, but with some level of pain, and that the democracy we struggle to build, we are gradually working against it. If you look at the happenings that people who have turned the age of voting, and by law, they are required to register and have their day on the day of election to exercise their franchise, are going through this sort of ordeal, then it's a cause for worry. Because if you are talking about free and fair elections, one of the indices of free and fair election is voter registration. And this is one of the critical indices that is required in election, because it gives you the role of people who are qualified and to vote, and you can use it to check any aberration whatsoever. I am not happy, because if you look at the problems we are hearing, people's concern, I think this thing can be addressed easily. So it is my hope and prayer that the EC will listen to all the concerns and make sure that people are able to be given the opportunity to put their name in the register. Of course, the EC want to protect the sanctity of the register, but that is not to shortchange people who also have the constitutional duty to be in the register. So they should be able to balance this act if we are to make any meaningful progress. There is something that I want to send to the EC and that of the MPP, that the MPP is not part of this process. They have not done anything wrong. But if the EC go on this route, the likelihood of the people venting their anger on the party is high, in the sense that normally within this type of exercise, if people feel disenfranchised or people feel that somebody is working against their interests and that there is going to be an ultimate beneficiary of that, program, they are likely to vent their anger on the party, which is the MPP. So it is my hope and prayer that the EC will look sharp and address the issues head on. Then I expect the NPP to also criticize the process and make it known that they have no hand in the process, which I know they don't have any hand in that, but it is in their interest to do so. Otherwise, the electorate will vent their anger on them.
Okay, thank you. Let's get into the papers. But to the Electoral Commission, the chairperson and others, Dr. Kwame Asante says, look sharp. I mean, you understand. Somewhat else here. Yes. You know that. Look sharp. What else here? Anyway, so the Daily Graphic this morning will blaze through the papers. Turning economy around, cut down on expenditure. Speakers urge government at Graphic Business Stanbic Bank breakfast meeting. And there's consortium commits $10 million to lithium drilling. Lithium. And me, I'm always, when it comes to, look at Niger and its uranium. Now we have Ghana. We have everything here. Yet we are like church mice, stricken by poverty. And we're back at the IMF's doorstep. Yet Isikaso. But this one, of great importance to me, because we are talking about it every day, Endpoint Homeopathic Clinic. Now, this says, Professor J.E. Mensah, 80% of prostate cancer patients report late for treatment. That's the whole thing about a lot. Even with the cancers, report early, your chances are 90% and above. In some cases, even up to about 100%. But once you go late at the point where it's getting terminal, there's nothing you can do. Don't impede work of EC judiciary, SKB Asante tells politicians. Oh, wow, the good old professor. So let's quickly get into them. I'll just go through these very quickly, and then, gentlemen, you can share your thoughts with me. The government has to do more to cut expenditure in its quest to bring the country's debt to sustainable levels and revive the economy. Speakers at the Graphic Business Stanbic Bank breakfast meeting who made the suggestion argued that for the country to survive such turbulent times and come out stronger, the government had to prioritize efficient spending. They hold the belief that while the domestic debt exchange program, which is part of the IMF program, had helped to create some space for spending, it was not enough to bring the economy out of its current crisis. So we know that now government is also saying we're going to execute a second round of a domestic debt exchange program. And already the banks are saying, Charlie, why? We've had it up to our eyebrows. Enough is enough. They're pushing back. The pensioner bondholders are also saying, look, you excluded us from the first one. Don't bring us back. You try to bring us back, we'll start picketing the ministry again. So that's the tail of the tape. And then you'd have the likes of Professor Godfred Bokpin saying that Obe Veranda, so what's Obe Day? Obe Agre. You are in an IMF program, yet you are spending and overspending. That's the first story. I'll take your reactions. More than 80% of prostate cancer patients succumb to death because they report to hospitals with advanced stages of the disease and low blood levels, research findings at the Kolebu Teaching Hospital have established. Now, these patients had the worst outcome, with 73% dying less than 2 years after diagnosis, the findings as stated. And that study was led by the head of surgery at the hospital, Professor James Edward Mensah, which showed that 23% of patients died between 2 and 5 years after diagnosis, while a quarter of the cohort survived for more than 4 years, for more than 5 years, actually. Those two stories I want you to reflect on, and maybe you can add your thoughts on that consortium committing to mining or drilling lithium in Ghana. Here we are again with another resource. We've mismanaged our gold. We've mismanaged everything else, our oil. Now there's lithium. Let's see how it goes. I'll start with you, Dr. Asasante.
Yes. If you look at the story on cut down expenditure and the rest of them, we have said this time and again. But yesterday I listened to the program, but I had concern because I was disappointed with the chief director. Saying
the chief director of the finance ministry, I think,
yes.
Eva Menz. And let me add that I was also disappointed when I listened to her, but you go ahead.
I was disappointed. He was just talking about government doing this, government doing this, government doing this. Yes, we agree. But he forgot to talk about government expenditure, that the size of government, unnecessary expenditure that bring loss to our states. And he forget about that. And I was so disappointed because one would have thought that that would be part of her also calculation and it will feature into the conversation. It did not, because and some of the expenditures describe them as something meager, little. No, I disagree, because even the little things that you want to discount, they are very, very important. Little drops of water make the ocean. So I wanted the chief director to touch on the unnecessary expenditure of government, and he also did not touch on issue of corruption, which takes a lot of our money away. He forgot to touch on that. Further to that, he also refused to touch on the fact that it is the duty of government to ensure that people who do not pay tax are brought to book. So you were saying that people were not ready to pay tax and all that. It shows that you are talking about the fact that the state is not capable, what we call in political science state capacity. You are saying that the extractive capacity of the state is weak. And if it is weak, why do we want to, give government mandate to govern us? Because we believe that this is something that the state should be able to do, and that you rake in the necessary revenue. All these things did not feature in the conversation yesterday. I was so disappointed. But I think that going forward, you will look at all these things and then incorporate them into a speech when he's talking about what issue of what financing and how to cut down government expenditure. Otherwise, we always give government the green light that go ahead and all is fine. It is not true.
Okay.
The issue about prostate cancer and the way people report very late is a worrying situation. And in part of the problem can be blamed on the fact that there is no constant education on these things. And also the fact that people also have certain penchant of, as if they don't care a hoot about what is happening until the last minute that they go for remedy and all that. I believe that the way forward to this thing is that you educate people as to the need to visit hospital regularly to do some of these checks so that you save yourself. Life is more important than any other thing.
Thank you so much, Doc. We have something interesting coming up that I'll share with you when it does come up, and hopefully it will address some of those concerns you've raised. Any thoughts on those matters?
Yes, thank you for the time. Starting from the prostate cancer issue, it looks as if Ghana, we really do not have a very strong understanding on our health issues. We wait for something to happen before we start talking about it and things like that. Men are very important in nation development, and we really need to put our strength on this area. If you look at it, one of the problems is our, herbal industries, our local industries. Many of them, many people, they are closer to us every day on radio, every day on TV. And they are giving us adverts and things like that. Oh, if you have prostate cancer, the hope that they are giving to the people. Unless when something is, is already out of hand, then we take it to Kolobo and things like that. I think that the education needs to be very, very strengthened in all areas. And then, even though our herbal centers and they are helping us, but we really need to use this mainstream line health centers, go there straight, go to main hospital, have a check, and then you'll be able to be sorted out. It's very important. Then the second one is the government expenditure. This, I think that every government is a problem in Africa. This one of the problems that is causing these coups and things like that. Our government system is such that when we come in, we suffer a lot, we spend a lot to come in. So when we come in, we must pay the boys. We must set offices and raise kind of agencies and things like that to be able to settle everybody. And it all goes down to our national development system plan that we don't have. If we have that plan, in Ghana here, we have been able to have that national development plan, which we have a commission for it. I don't know why we are not using the commission to institute these things.
We play politics with it.
We play politics with it. And our institutions too are very weak. We don't even have an institution that is monitoring these kind of things, because all the institutions are under the government, are under the president, and things like that. It's overwhelming, because the next government that will come will repeat the same thing, because he has boys to pay, he has people to settle and things like that. But we need to be able to cut down on government expenditure. We need to come down. It's a very bad attitude. It's really taking a lot of our revenue away.
Right. Let's get on to other stories. I just see this message. Let me quickly acknowledge. Solomon Yantechi says, at the Graphics Stanbic meeting yesterday, a woman representative from the finance ministry, Eva Menz is her name, I believe, made me furious when she defended the current situation. After the customary Russian stroke COVID blame game, she continued by blaming the citizens' unwillingness to pay taxes, citing instances all over the world where people happily and willingly paid their taxes. The truth is that nobody enjoys paying taxes everywhere, which is why wealthy individuals look for tax havens to hide their money. However, in the jurisdictions she mentioned, citizens can see how their taxes are spent, and if necessary, they can be penalized for their political views. When they see their taxes being used to support politicians or to buy V8s every day, citizens are not compelled to take action. And I felt same. I was listening to Eva Menz. Honestly, I felt it was disastrous what she said. Madam Eva Menz, I'm expressing my personal opinion to you this morning. I listened to you and I didn't feel you were on top of matters. You had a feel of what was happening to the ordinary Ghanaian. The things you were talking about and the things that had been said before were opposite, tangentially, really. Yesterday, I went somewhere, and at the end of the day, the bill, a bill, believe me, if you look at a bill of about 493 cedis for something, let's say 493 cedis, and your taxes alone are over 100 cedis.
About 30
taxes.
Yeah, about 30 something percent.
What the heck?
Yeah.
What the heck is going on? Something 493. So taxes alone are about 1/4.
Yeah.
Even more than 1/4.
Yeah. That's what.
And you come and tell me what? Eva Menz. Come again. The Daily Guide. Num1 gets 500 million Ghana cedi bail. And we all know, I don't even know why this situation, but again, Ghana for you. Adwa Safo cools down Kwabena constituents with fine yogurt. She says, oh, Miss Shremo, I apologize. Just as our president back then said, Miss Shremo, give me... she's also saying Miss Shremo, and now she's cooling her constituents down with fun yogurt. All right, Domi Kwabena. I won't throw mud at opponents, says Bawumia. Okay, all right. There's 3 Ghanaians arrested over Russian Wagner activities. That story is on page 6, and they are residents of Diabene farming community in the Sekandi Takrade metropolis. Now, they are supposed to be leading a group linked to the Russian Wagner group, and they even staged a demonstration, and now they've been apprehended. You can't come here and come and do any Wagner something. Oh, what is wrong with you? And then why OSB seized Cecilia Dapa's assets again? I'll just take a quick look at that. The Office of the Special Prosecutor has made more serious allegations against former Minister for Sanitation and Water Resources, Cecilia Abnadapa, as it seeks a court order to confirm the seizure of money seized at her homes, as well as the freezing of her bank accounts. There are certain further details about transactions, the sale of a certain property in a certain name, which actually was her name, ended up in her bank account. It's murky, but follow the story. We'll bring you details of that. The final newspaper this morning says, Apia Kubi to contest Ifija Kwabre South MPP parliamentary primaries, and then private investor to inject $85 million into Lands Commission's operations. The Ghanaian publisher building a successful brand through organizational culture, and then there'll be voter registration will go beyond district offices in 2024. That's the EC. And finally, ISA warns government over high interest loans. But government, as always, I believe they'll dig their heels in. Will they listen? And only a seminal. Doc, do you have any reflections on these stories before I come back into the studio?
I'll look at Adwa Safo's story. If you look at Adwa Safo's story,
yes,
he has apologized.
You are not in Domiko Abenya, right? So you'll not go for some of the yogurt?
No. Even if I happen to be there, I'm not sure I would take part. But so we have listened to her apology and all that. But my worry is that, one, she failed to discuss a problem with the constituents, with the party, and with Ghanaians. Remember that if you are an MP, one of your roles is that you are a representative of your party at the constituency, and you represent your constituents as far as their interest is concerned, as far as their policies and programs are concerned. That is why we give you all the resources, so that at each point in time you go there, hold at that bar, and discuss government programs and your programs and any other issue with them. She failed to do that. At the time that her party needed her so much, she was not there for the party. Now today, all of a sudden, you resurface and you want the party to give you a nod to come to parliament again. I think that he's taking the people for granted. It's more of an insult to the people. Yes, I can leave you and then come back at any time. It's not fair. Everybody appreciates the fact that you had a problem, genuine problem with your family. Did you discuss so that you bring everybody to speed with what you are talking about? You left everybody. Political party activities are serious business that you need to attend, give it your all, so as to be able to be a bona fide member of the system. So if you shirk that responsibility, I'm afraid people will punish you. And I'm not surprised about the reaction from the constituency. I believe that to be fair to her, she should not contest at all, because I'm not sure that people will retain her at all.
Okay, quick thoughts, very quick thoughts on what I raised. And I'm sure you should be concerned about the Wagner group thing.
Very, very, very concerned about that, because these are the things that we should be very, very fast and swift in.
I'm glad, at least in this instance, we've been very quick.
Very, very happy that the police have been able to cramp down them on the early stage like this. We need to be very, very fast, because the way, if you look at the trend in West Africa right now, what is happening, the coups and things like that. It may not be a coup in Ghana, but some of these things, if we allow them a space, insurgencies will just take place right now, and it is really going to destroy this peace and security that we have in this country. Then I will also talk about the Lands Commission seeking for money to upgrade themselves and to structure the administration systems and things like that. I think it's timely, but the money is too much. I don't know what they are going to do.
So the private investor is going to inject $85 million.
And
you see, in this country,
this is government.
My problem is $85 million. How are we going to follow the paper trail? $85 million. These $85 million. Do
you know how much?
I'll leave it there.
Lands Commission. The people, everybody in this country is connected to Lands Commission. What money do you need again from outside? The money that you take from your commission, you are not able to use it, and now you are going to look for a private investor. So what will happen to our lands?
I'm saying someday, if we are not careful, if we keep with this political ping pong of NDC MPs and the things, some of the things, especially this administration is doing, we may wake up one day and someone will come and knock on your door and say, "Oh, Ghana
we own all the lands.
We own Ghana, so get out, go find somewhere else because you are no longer
a private." How can you allow a private investor to come and invest in a national asset?
No, but let's be fair to them. The story is on page 8. Let's dilate on the facts. I know where you're coming from, and
I understand.
But as part of efforts to transform the operations,
yes. Okay.
So-called of the Lands Commission and improve its services, government will sign a contract with a Ghanaian-owned private investor to inject $85 million into the commission's operations. The contract agreement is expected to be signed between the Lands Commission and the PDB Ghana Limited, a wholly owned Ghanaian land administration company, by the end of this year. We just hope that the money will serve its purpose because Ghana we day. Ghana.
It's a serious matter. It's a very serious matter.
Let's quickly take a look at some of the headlines from your papers.
Okay.
No, you can just read what we have there.
NAM1 denies frauding customers for 1.6 billion something. ECOWAS urged to apply tougher sanction to stop illicit arms prolifications. And then Lands Commission, I think that's...
And we basically looked at all the other stories, right?
Yes.
Okay,
yes.
Let's take a quick look at these awards that you're organizing. Africa Peace Advocate Awards. Yes. And these are honorary awards.
Yeah.
You have some honorary awardees this year. Tell us a bit about it. I'm particularly interested because our very own Anochiwaba Sewa, who is a broadcast journalist with us of the Sanitary Project, has also been nominated. Tell us a bit about it.
Yeah, like I said before, one of my job is to mobilize voices, mobilize people who have a platform, and they can use their platform to talk about peace, to advocate peace, and then promote peace for us to be able to sustain what we have. Especially looking at next year, we're about to have an election. Our elections are not free and fair yet. We are still behind our democratic freedom. Where everybody look at what is happening to the limited registration system here. We have this great woman she was in the other side, when he was in the other side, speaking about this same thing that is happening right now, but she's repeating the same thing. We need people that have a platform that will be able to use it to advocate for peace. So we came together with our team to bring all these people together so that we'll be able to honor them and also give them assignment that whatever you are doing in the platform that you have, use it to speak about peace, the importance of it, and how we should all come together to sustain it. So that's what we are doing tomorrow. Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for joining the conversation. Doc, any final words, very briefly? Doc?
Yeah, I will look at the MPP, primaries. They are going to the elections about to happen November 4. So far, what I'm seeing is fine. But my caution to them is that they should not undertake the campaign in such a way that they assassinate the character of people within the party, because they will have a price to pay when one of them will obviously emerge as victorious. And then you have destroyed him already. You come back to repackage and sell him. The people will not buy that candidate. It is a caution to them. They should, watch it out.
All right. Dr. Kwame Asante, we're so grateful, as always. Dr. Samuel Ben Owusu, United Nations Eminent Peace Ambassador to Ghana and Country Director, International Association of World Peace Advocates, Ghana Chapter. Thank you for joining the conversation. Of course, Dr. Kwame Asante is a political scientist. He is also head of the Center for European Studies at the University of Ghana. Before we head into sports, Endpoint Homeopathic Clinic, you heard what Prof said. 80% of those who come late actually lose out. So head to Endpoint Homeopathic Clinic for your prostate issues, for your female fertility issues. Locate them at Spintex opposite the Shell signboard, Kumasi Kronoma here behind the Angel Educational Complex, Takrade Anaji Estate, Tema Community 22, Techiman Hanswa, and Esiama Nzima. Reach them on 0244 867 068 or 0274 234 321. Endpoint Homeopathic Clinic, the end to chronic disease. Bringing us to the start of sports. Up next.